Hello, you magnificent bastards, and welcome to the very first episode of /Revv, where I talk about stuff. I am, of course, the Revenge, and today is October 18th, 2015, and I want to talk about paying for mods, because that's something Steam tried a while back with Skyrim. They tried to make the workshop so that the mod makers could make it so that that you had to pay for their mods, which gave a huge backlash. Um, what they tried was with Skyrim, which was a game that was out for like 4 years or so, something by that time, and they wanted to make it so that you could pay for they made the workshop available for it like a year or something before that, and now they wanted to make it so that you could pay for the mods. Or well, it wasn't really an option; it was more like an option from the the mod maker side, because they could choose to make it so that their mod was only available to those who paid for it. Um, and the big backlash came was that it concerned some mods um, that were already there, and a lot of mods you could actually get through other means, and now people could basically put them on there and say that they were theirs, and say like, well, you have to pay for them, even though they didn't make it themselves and stuff. So it didn't really go over too well, and everyone didn't want to pay for it. But and back in the day, I thought it was a stupid idea as well. But I thought about it for a while, and you know, there's two sides to it, and I think that basically it might be a good idea. Just not the way they executed it in the end, but it could be a good idea, because when you think about it, something that has been popping up lately a lot is that a DLC is sometimes just a cheap way to get stuff added to the game. Sometimes it's already there and they just lock it away, um, or it's just a bad DLC, or it costs a lot or whatever. There's like a lot of issues with DLC lately, and I think that mods really are what people want. Like sometimes it's just like a tiny little thing that only a few people want, but still it's being made and people use it, and that's good. And if it took quite a bit of work, it might be nice to get paid for it a little bit. And of course, they often have things like, yeah, well, you can support me by donating, but if you make it so that they have to pay for it, it might work, especially for the bigger mods. And if you can actually pay for it, especially with the way they set it up, I think that Steam got like a big part of the money, and then the developer of the game itself got a big chunk of the money, and the modder only got a little bit, which might not be the best like division of the money, but at least if they all get some, it might be more interesting for more games to get mods in, if this is like standard practice. That way, we get more games with mods, and that usually means that the DLC has to kick it up a notch as well. Um, it might even be true that because of DLC, or because of mods being able to be a paid thing, you could actually get like third-party DLC companies that just make DLC for certain games, and this might be higher quality because they are trying to sell this DLC. Of course, the regular companies also try to sell the DLC, but if there's that much, I also think that people don't try to complete everything. So the the DLC of the game itself actually has to compete with the mods, so they have to put out good DLC, hopefully. And with DLC companies being out there, that might also be a very good thing, because if you look at the Elder Scrolls, what we've seen over the years is that there's like complete overhaul um, projects that want to add like a completely new region from Tamriel, or even want to make a totally new reimagined fantasy world made in there. And this is like a project that takes years and years, and especially since it's usually done by people in their free time, it just takes so freaking long. By the time they've got anything done that can be played, most people have moved on, and maybe even the next game is already launched in the series. So usually I don't think those projects really reach an end, or at least aren't reaching as many people as possible. So maybe if this happens, third-party DLC developers might actually be able to pay people for it, and if that's true, we might be able to see these overhauls and big projects finished much more and much faster, so you can actually play them, or at least more people can play them, which would be good. Of course, there are some issues with it, because if you look at, for instance, Paradox games, what you often see is that there's mods for them, but they also bring out a lot of content patches, a lot of DLC, and with each DLC comes a content patch that makes the game better, but also changes some stuff, and at the very least changes the the patch number, and then it checks the mod whether it has the correct patch number, and if it doesn't work. So the problem is that if you have to pay for them, the modder should at least keep them up to date so that they work on the game, or keep working. And what do you do when the game developers decide to make an expansion that actually uses part of the mod, or yeah, like has new features that actually are featured in small mods here and there, that you actually have to pay a few cents for it, and it's like, well, you already bought that, and now it doesn't work anymore because it's part of the core game. If you got the correct DLC, so you have to buy the DLC again. That might be a bit of an issue, since you actually already paid for something and it's not something you got for free. So that might be an issue, and again, stealing the work of others might also be a big issue. And since there's a lot more modders than there are video game companies, I guess, because it's something you can do in your free time, it might be an issue where you can easily steal something from someone, even if it's like part of a code or an entire feature, and then you constantly have to show that it's not the same code, and like there will be a lot of lawsuits whether things are actually stolen, or that it's just two people who came up with roughly the same idea, and this is something that is quite common or whatever, you know. So that might be an issue, and on top of that, of course, people are gonna take offense to the fact that some of the bigger projects that were around might have been free in the past, where you can just download it when it's finally done, and now suddenly it's something you have to pay for instead. People might not like that as much. So yeah, it might still be an issue, but in the end of the day, I think that if they can get a good model working, it would be very good for the game industry, because just DLCs will be better. It might be very good, and it increases the longevity of games. Some games you might be able to play through like once in like 20, 30, 40 hours, and then with the mods you can play them again and again and have different experiences for a little bit of extra money. Where normally you would buy a few DLCs and then be done with it, you can now do it more often, and that seems like a good idea. So yeah, I think I would actually enjoy if they got a good model going, if they could get mods so that you have to pay for them. Hopefully not too much, because I'm not planning to put down like 30 euros for just a mod. Then again, if it's a very good one and it's better than some DLCs, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know if that would be profitable either. So in the end of the day, it's all a bit of a thing about, you know, how the market works anyway. So I guess that the prices will be reasonable. And I really hope it works. It would be very good. So yeah, that's my thoughts basically on those paid for mods now. So changed a little bit, but I hope you sort of get my point and maybe think about it a little bit different as well. And otherwise, I would like to hear your views on it as well. That would be very cool. So if you have any views, please leave them in the comment section. And I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on about it for like 10 minutes. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And I hope to see you guys next time. Cheerio. Here comes the fire department. What the hell? What's on fire now? I just built this stuff. Crap. Whoa! That was Lei Bing that went sideways and took out like half the field. It's definitely Sophia Martinez and Ray Carter in there. Of course, Ray Carter. Ray Carter, where's Drive Revv?